Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Freshwater Scrub and in the climax of the current world pandemic and my fish beings. Unfortunately, diseases are quite a common occurrence in the fish keeping hobby because, well, your tank is practically a paradise for all types of bacteria. It is warm and it is moist. And oftentimes the only thing preventing a bacteria outbreak is, well, you as a fish keeper. Maintaining a clean aquarium with good water quality is key to preventing a disease outbreak. I keep trying to say bacteria, but a disease outbreak, as a dirty aquarium can not only provide the food required for bacteria to multiply, but it will also weaken your fish's immune system, giving a chance for the bacteria to strike. So keeping your tank clean is one of the easiest ways, easiest and most effective way to prevent a disease outbreak. So keep your tank clean and hopefully your fish will be safe. Okay, so now we've talked about prevention, let's get on to diagnostic. And this can be done by just, well, keeping an eye out on your fish, as many of the most common diseases can be diagnosed by simply, keeping an eye out on your fish, check if there's any unusual behaviors. So like, are the fish eating well? Do they have any physical wounds? Or anything that is out of place that can indicate a disease. And most common diseases like ick, fin rot, dropsy, fungus, and mouth rot, these all have distinctive physical symptoms that you can tell by just looking at them. But also, even if your fish is not doesn't have any of these symptoms, but if your fish is very skinny and it is breathing fast, you can tell by their gill movement, by the way, then it might indicate that they have an internal infection or disease. So also keep an eye on that. Physical symptoms and behaviors can often be used to narrow down and see what disease your fish has, which is extremely helpful if you have to, medicate your fish. So you're using the right medication that can cure your fish and not harm them. So always keep an eye on your fish, and that is the key to diagnosing a disease on time and possibly even saving your fish's life. Okay, so now we've talked about prevention and diagnostic, let's move on to medication and a way to cure your fish. Now, there are many different medication for many different purposes, and they can cure many different diseases. But sometimes, for a very mild case, maybe just add some aquarium salt, pump up the water temperature, and let it wait for a few days. And if your fish is improving, then thank goodness you wouldn't need any medication. But if the case continues and it's not getting any better, you should consider getting some medication. There's many medication out on the market, and it might confuse some fish keepers, but medication usually come in 3 different categories, and that is the liquid medication, powdered medication and solid medication. So let's talk about liquid medication first. Liquid medication like Primafix and Malafix, they are usually very, well, versatile, and they are easy to keep around and easy to dose because you can just dump them into the water and voila, that's it. But even though it is effective for most exterior infections and diseases, it is usually obsolete against internal diseases as liquid, as it dissolves in water, and that cannot penetrate into the fish's body to do the work. Solid medications function similarly to liquid medication. They usually come in packets like this. This is just one that I bought from Walmart. I'm not seeing if you guys can see it clearly. It's just a lifeguard one. And they usually come in tabs, and most of them have most of them can cure many diseases at once. So look, so they come in these little packets, and each of them have a tab in this, and they are pre-measured tabs. So you can just put them in the water and read the instruction to see whether you have to do water changes or how much you put in it. And most of the times, these are the most versatile ones because you can keep them just in storage for long times. They won't like go bad, or they won't expire. So yeah. Solid medication, it also functions like liquid medication. You put them in water and they will dissolve in water, and yeah, pretty much, and then afterwards they pretty much act like liquid medication. Powdered medication is a bit different as well. There's still some powder medication that can be used similarly to liquid and solid one. Maybe you just dump them in water and they will dissolve in water. But most commonly, powdered is the form that most stronger antibiotics and other medications come in that are specified to cure internal diseases, as you can mix them into the fish's food, and then the fish can get into the fish's digestion system, and the medication can get into the fish's body and actually help do the work. So powdered medication is often common like tetramycin. I'm not sure if I'm not even pronouncing that right. And also the medication that I need for my sick fish, kanamycin sulfate, also comes in a powdered form. It is always a good idea to keep some medication on hand, and if you ever have to use them, like I do right here. So I have this little pack of medication, and for people in the US and other places, because unfortunately some medications are banned in Canada, but it is always good for our friends elsewhere to maybe go into the pet store, pick up a pack of General Cure, or maybe some other generalized tabs. Well, tabs is pretty good because they can keep for a long time without spoiling. So yeah, keeping medication on hand is a great idea, as sometimes and occasions maybe your fish is sick but you can't access the pet store, or you have to dose the medication ASAP. So keeping the medication on hand, that will really help you if the occasion ever comes up. Also, if you have the resources, it is always a great idea to keep a spare tank on your hand. Why? Well, because it's basically a redundant tank that you can use in emergency situation, such as if there is a sudden disease outbreak in your tank, you have to quarantine and separate the infected fish from the healthy ones. Yep, you can use that tank. And also, if there's a disaster and your tank leaked, or maybe there's just some accident and you need to move the fish to another tank for short periods of time, well, there's where your tank can come in. So having a redundant tank is really, really important. I personally have experience with it when my big tank, my original 10-gallon tank, it started leaking, but it wasn't a very serious leak. It was not pshroopsh. It was only dripping, but that was enough to trash a tank. So I had to I temporarily put all of my fish in this tank. It was before I had any plants in it, so yeah, I can do that. So I put all of my fish in this tank, which gave me time to, attempt to seal the tank, but that failed. So it also gave me extra time to get a new tank, which my fish is actually in currently. So having an extra tank always a good idea. You never know what's gonna happen, so it's always good to stay prepared. Alright, that's gonna be it for today's freshwater scrub video. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope that I, provided you with some information that you didn't know or thought was helpful. Because, well, it's all for the betterment of the fish. See you next time.